This is the radio station that is exclusively devoted towards the creation of an independent African American nation. We present the solution, the best solution that we believe that the African American people need to pursue. We are also looking for those individuals who wish to be a part of working towards the goal of creating this independent African American nation on the homeland of our ancestors. Those individuals that are competent professionals, those people that throughout the various industries, from culture-related down to being able to lay wire and pipe, plumbing pipe, we need everyone that we can get to firmly plant ourselves back on the continent and begin building the infrastructure that is necessary to create a modern nation on the African continent. Why do we need to do this now, and why is the timing so well? Years ago, before we had a black president, many people thought it was impossible for a black man to become the president of the United States. And it happened. People told Gandhi that India would never get independence from Britain, and it happened. People told the founding fathers of this country, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, that they were delusional, that the Declaration of Independence was the most egregious document ever fabricated by the hand of man. And yet, they were able to create a nation based on the back of our ancestors. We, as a new formed group of individuals, 400 years in the making, have now reached a level in which we can ourselves rule in our own environment, where we can control the political, social, and economic destiny for us forever. What kind of nation are we talking about? We're talking about creating a democratic nation, a nation in which we have checks and balances, ruled by popular vote. It is predictable. We have the rule of law. The citizens of this new nation indeed will be the descendants of Africans born in America, the descendants of slaves born in America. And yet, in this nation, racism will be against the law. My political awakening happened when I lived overseas. In particular, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I lived in Singapore for the first 7 years and in Malaysia for the last 4. Mm-hmm. And when I was in Singapore, and I got away from the American TV, American commercials, American propaganda machine, I was then in an environment in which had a completely different outlook on life. And at that point in time, Singapore was migrating from second world to first world. It was really at the cusp of becoming a first world nation. And so being under the influence and seeing the prosperity for this group of people led me to ask the question, well, why can't African American people have their own nation state? And when you start looking at the numbers, Singapore is a country of only 4 million people. Then Malaysia is a country of only 22 million people. Then you start looking around the world and you start to see what the populations of many different countries are. And 80% of the countries that exist in the world have an individual population less than the 40 million African Americans that exist today. How can nations such as Sweden with 8 million, Norway with 5 million, Finland with 5 million, Cuba with 8 million, Libya with 6 million, Kuwait with 2 million, UAE with 2 million, how come they can be a sovereign country, and yet we are, in some cases, 20 times the size of them based on individual population, mm-hmm. We're 2 times the size of Australia. We are 1 time, we have more people than even Canada. And so that led me to really look at this was a right that we had just based off of numbers alone. We have a right to be a nation state. Then it evolved into how can we accomplish this specific objective.
And then, without question, looking at the history of the African slave trade and what our ancestors have gone through, how the crime against humanity was put upon them, there is no question that we have a birthright to return back to our ancestral land. The open wound in the heart of humanity is in the subordination of man to man and of one people to another people. And throughout the course of antiquity, many were compelled to pursue the right to be the masters of their own fate. And today, with where America is going, there is a representative segment of the African American people that are compelled to pursue this absolute right of sovereignty. And no longer can we limit the expanse of our potential and our quest for the ultimate freedom to alter our life both individually and collectively. So that is essentially how this whole thing came about. By leaving the country, I then realized how we can become a country.
What that means is the ultimate control of your social, economic, and political destiny is a direct cause. The effect that we want is free social, economic, and political progress. That's the effect. The root cause to make that happen is sovereignty, is self-rule, is the ability to have your own government. To create a government and you are the sovereign, that means that you have the unencumbered ability to legislate the laws that will ensure the development of social progress, economic progress, and political progress for your people. That is why many states fight so hard for their sovereignty. That is why since 1980, 34 new nations have been created alone. In 1950, there were only 85 countries. Now there are almost 230 countries. 140 new nations have been created since 1950 alone. The evolution of a culture is the nation state. It is impossible for us to escape this. It is like a child that is born as a baby. The child, if it's a boy or a girl, will grow up to be either a man or a woman. That is the natural evolution. You cannot do anything about it. So for us as African Americans who went from slaves to becoming free slaves to being able to have the ability to vote, and it's a 40 million population, our next step is to create the nation state. It's inevitable. Now, there are many here who don't believe in this because they are brainwashed by this society. They talk about how much our ancestors have done for this country. They talk about how brilliant African Americans are. Well, if you believe in the brilliance of the African American culture people to help build the strongest nation on planet Earth, then why would you question your ability to create your own nation on the motherland of the homeland of your ancestors?